Okay, the recording has officially started. We are going to start with the presentation now. And our presentation topic is a microeconomic analysis on the rising cost of living in Uganda. Okay. So firstly, I'll just introduce my team members. My team consists of me, Dhruval Rana, there's Neha Sangwan, there's Rahat, and there's Alam Swarikul. Moving on to the introduction, this presentation provides a detailed microeconomic breakdown of the Ugandan rising cost of living. It also dwells into possible solutions to tackle the issues. So as we all know, there has been like a big increase in the price of cost of living, including the food and everything. We're just going to understand why this is happening and how to deal with it. So this is the history. Uganda has been grappling with the problem of the rising cost of living since mid 2022, resulting from a combination of factors including natural disasters, price hikes across various industries like the construction industry, transportation industry, fuel industry, etc. Because of this, there has been a huge price hike in the Ugandan economy as whole. We'll start with food inflation analysis. So, as you can see by the graph, in the middle of 2022, there was a brief hike in the whole industry. According to the article that we studied, it shows that the cost of living has increased 0.7% towards the end of 2023. That is this year, as compared to the 0.6% hike recorded in the middle of the year. So which means from 0. So in August it was 0.6% hike. In September it has become 0.7%. So the inflation is steadily rising. And now I think the inflation is so much that it has not been this much in the past 10 years of Ugandan history. We're going to move ahead and check into the causation as to why this is happening. So this is primarily happening because of the El Nino, which is a natural disaster. It results in extreme rainfall, and because of extreme rainfall and bad weather conditions, it has destroyed the vegetation of Uganda. Second is a disrupted production of crops and vegetables. This is because of the rainfall, of course. Then there's a disrupted supply chain, which means that there is not the right kind of supply, and this has happened because of the hike in fuel prices, hike in construction, and because of the damage that has been caused onto the roadways to actually transport the products and goods. Secondly, it is also happening because there is no proper governmental intervention. So no one, the government is not, providing any subsidies or any taxes to be, any subsidies or reducing the taxes of any sort to the people so that they can kind of boost the food production again. And another very big problem is the excessive dependency on Kenya and Tanzania because a lot of people, I think a lot of traders in Uganda, they just import their food from Kenya and Tanzania because they are not able to grow these food stuff as they are not able to grow it themselves. So they are just importing it from Kenya and Tanzania, and they are not putting any kind of money into their own economy. This is why there's this whole problem of price hike and inflation. Um, I'm just going to move forward and explain the demand elasticity. Now, the people in Uganda won't easily change their buying habits when it comes to essential items like food and vegetables. Now, even when there is an increase in price, which is 40%, the Ugandan people, right, they still require the food because it is a necessity. They require the food and water. So even if the price goes up by 40%, they will only cut back by 10%. Their demand will pretty much remain the same. It will have no effect on their demand because everyone requires food to survive. That means that their demand is inelastic, which means change in prices leads to a smaller percentage change in demand. So regardless of how much the price changes when it comes to food, the Ugandans are still going to spend money on food because that is what they require. Another, why there's a demand elasticity, it is because there's lack of substitutes. So there is no proper substitute for food. If there is no food, you will just die. You can't eat anything else, right? So that is probably why there is inelastic demand currently. Moving on to the supply elasticity. So there is an inelastic supply. Why? Because farmers can't quickly adjust to short-term changes in products demanded. So let's say if the consumers want a different kind of a product. Now these farmers, because of the El Nino, there's a lot of rainfall and the conditions are very harsh. The weather condition is not good, and that is why they're not able to produce a lot of food, right? So even if people want different kinds of food, the farmers are not able to produce it as quickly. So the food that they're producing is limited, and the demand is ever rising. So even if it does not matter how much the demand is, the farmer can only supply what they are able to grow. And also on top of that, the supply routes have been disrupted because of the roads and very bad transportation conditions. So it just becomes very difficult for the farmers to actually make their products reach to the consumers and the markets. And that is probably why there's an inelastic supply, because there is only so much that the farmers can shed out at this point. Um, we will just move forward to market failure analysis, and this will be explained by Alam. So I'm gonna just shift this towards him. Alam, please go on. Alam, you are on mute.
Thank you, Dhrubil. I am MD Torikul Alom. I'm going to tell the uh, market failure, the cause of failure, and its solution. Through in the topic we have analyzed the topic and found some why the market failed in Uganda. It is not uh, It is not a single factor that is why the market is failed. Rather a blend of economic, environmental, and policy related force. It is a web of challenges that affected the daily lives of Uganda. Next week we're going to how use solution of the condition solution. However, in every challenges lies an opportunity of change. In the face of market failure, we have identified a range of solutions that can help us overcome this horrendous and improve the life of Ugandans. This solution encompass infrastructure investment, resilient agriculture, economic diversification, and sound economic policies. Long-term plans is the concept of our efforts to mitigate market failure and enhance the living standard of our citizens. Then we are going forward. Further slide is which gonna
I think Neha
next
is going
slide.
to take it. Yes, Neha, please go on for this slide.
Shall I start?
Yes, please. Please begin.
Uh, I talk about the causes of inflation in construction and transportation sector. Firstly, I talk about the fuel price fluctuation. Due to inflation, there is the very main causes of the inflation is the rising cost of the crude oil. Demand fluctuations, supply interruptions, and geographical conflicts are the factor affecting which increases the prices. For example, the global shortage in the supply of fuel due to the rise in demand has positively impacted the inflation in fuel. Second point, disruption in supply chain. It's due to the delays in material delivery as well as the costs are raised due to the inflation. Third one, incline in labor cost. Construction projects reliable on transportation for labor and materials due to inflation. Fourth point, regulatory changes. Environmental standards and safety needs act changes are the main reason of the inflation. Fifth one, infrastructure expenditure. Authorities investment in transportation foundation on higher demand that increases the demand of the construction services. Next slide, please. What is the effect of inflation in transportation and construction sector? Firstly, expand construction cost. Due to inflation, there is the rise in the cost of material which used in the Uganda transportation and construction sector. So it leads to higher position. Second, project detain. Higher cost of material as well as the shortage of the material can result in project slowdown, which is the mainly effect of the Uganda's construction sector. So third one, transportation cost. Due to inflation, transportation division rises on their shipping and management costs, which also affect the both the sector. Fourth one, economic growth. By reason of inflation, economic growth also reduce. It also affect on the Uganda's transportation and construction sector. Fifth one, customer prices. Increase transportation cost result in higher cost of buyer products. Thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to the next slide. I'm so sorry, I'm not getting a proper place
Thank
to
you,
just.
guys. Thank you, guys. I'm going to talk about the solution, probable solution. Uh, the first thing we considered that the government should invest on the agricultural technology, like in Uganda. Uganda needs some modern agricultural technology, latest irrigation system, uh, and the precision agriculture to increase crop yields that reduce the most impact adverse weather condition. Like if they can implement some new technology, they can predict the weather and the other things, and they can grow well crops. The secondly, sustainable farming practice promotion. Uh, Uganda should encourage farmers to use sustainable farming practices like organic farming and crop rotation, preserve soil fertility, and reduce the need for expensive chemical inputs. And thirdly, the diversifying food sources, like Uganda should look for the other substitute, other alternatives, and they shouldn't depend on the only one or two crops. They should cultivate a different type of food crops, so they can have the like diversified food that gonna be a probable solution. And uh, and it's very necessary. It's to improve their post harvest management. That gonna help them to save their crops from natural disaster and other things. And they should also apply uh, hybrid type crops, which gonna uh, give them more crops in short time. And then they should uh, done their research on farming, on agro products, and they should also uh, give some loan and other things to the farmers, which gonna help them to uh, grow more fruits, more crops, that will encourage them. And in from the government side, government also can import. They can play also by vital roles. They can put some taxes on the crops which they import from the other countries, and also can give incentive to the seller who export their food from Uganda. That will encourage them to towards growing crops and agricultural. And farmer, it should make easy for farmer to get the loan from the bank. That will also help to improve the situation, I think. And that's from my side. Now I am taking over. I'm hand over my speech to my fellow mate
Hello.
group.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. So with this, we have reached the end of the PPT. So this is the analysis that we have provided throughout. There is an analysis in supply and demand. So we have kind of explored the elasticity. We've explored the causation. We have explored as to why the market failed and the solutions for it, right? We've also explained the correlation between the construction, transportation, fuel, and the food industry, which is all four together, and how you know how the changes in one industry is affecting the other industries. Rahat helped us with the solutions as to what would be the right microeconomic solutions to actually tackle these problems. And lastly, we ended with the governmental action which is necessary to kind of make things easier for people in Uganda. So with this, we are just going to end the presentation, and our group number is we don't really have a group number, but these are our student numbers. Thank you very much, and I'm
And
just going to stop the presentation now. Thank you.
thank you.
Stop recording. Got it.